Thanks, Marty. It's great to catch up, and thanks. You thanked me, but thanks for everything you did to get our message out there to the company. You worked really hard on promoting it, and I'm really grateful. I didn't really have a chance to say because you were ending the video, but really grateful for your efforts on that front, mate. Cheers.
Virgin Galactic Investors. Here's the second part of our interview. Do you remember a few weeks ago we interviewed Andy Shovel live on the show? With Virgin Galactic, you know all about it. We got the petition signed and we saw what happened on the earnings. Well, the good news is, as you can see below, if you give us a wave, Andy, everybody will see you. There's Andy, look, waiting in the green room to talk to me now after that earnings report from Virgin Galactic and the success that we had with the petition. So without further ado, on a day when you can see Virgin Galactic down, should we be worried? Should we be concerned? Should we be alarmed? Should we be selling our shares? Well, let's get an opinion from Andy. If it's your very first time here, do click subscribe and ring the bell, as always, and tap the like button and share this interview out with as many people as you can, because we all love Virgin Galactic here. So here he is live on the show. We'd like to welcome once again back to the show, Andy Shovel. Thank you for being here. How are you, Andy?
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, really well. And excited to chat to you about yesterday's earnings call. And I hope you're really well. I've seen your new partnership with Alpha Spread, so congrats on that.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's very exciting that I'm doing reviews now for all the stocks on the market, but of course, particularly Virgin Galactic. I'm very excited. And what Andy was just referring to, if you go to Alpha Spread and you can use one of our links and get membership. And if you are one of our members, you'll actually get lifelong membership for us for free with a discount that you'll get on Alpha Spread. We use it for all our analysis. If you look here, what Andy was talking about was these reviews here. Above CNBC and Bloomberg and Yahoo Finance. They like my reviews, how we talk about the stocks right there. We cover the earnings, and of course we cover breaking news, as we did last night when Google, an insider sold all their shares at Google, 78%. So go and check out our information from Alpha. You can see where I get a lot of information from that you'll find very useful. And anyway, I'll give you the links for all of that at the end of our interview. But what's important is talking to Andy. First of all, Andy, I want to congratulate you. Not only did we get, we promoted it on our channel, we got everyone to sign, all our members signed it, but it was down to you. You put that petition to the investor relations manager. And how wonderful was it to hear in a space rocket company of the future, very exciting stock, that the CEO thanked the investors. You knew what he was saying, and they changed policy. The things that you asked for. We need to save money. This is how we can get to be profitable. They took it and they did it, and the share price went up. And we saw just before the earnings, institutions dump the stock because that's what they do. They drive it down, and then we saw institutions buying it back up again, and we've been following their trades over the last few days. So Andy, first of all, congratulations. It just shows you anything's possible, right? You get out there, you do it. So tell us, first of all, how that interview went, because now the interview's done and you spoke to the investor relations, and now for the first time you can share with us. How did it go?
Well, thanks, Martin. Yeah, and clearly it was really exciting to see them take those measures, announce them. As much as I want to feel triumphant and like we had a David and Goliath win, who's to know whether or not we influenced directly? Hopefully we did, and they have been in the same financial position for quite a long time, so with the same outgoings. So it may well be that we made some impact there and had a bit of a course correct influence on the company. Who knows? But I think it was great what we did, and it was some good old-fashioned shareholder activism that we did, and obviously not just us, the people who signed our petition and promoted it themselves as well. But going back to your question about the interview or the conversation I had with Virgin Galactic, look, it was very well received by Virgin Galactic. There was no kind of defensiveness. I laid out some of the concerns that I and other shareholders had at the time, and they did say, "Well, wait for the earnings, and that let's talk again after that." And they did say that it was Eric I spoke to, who's their lead on investor relations, and he did say that they were really open to the feedback that I was giving, and that they were going to try and be more transparent in the future, because one of the big points I raised on the call was just about how us investors, retail investors, we have to learn about some of these developments on Reddit, or we have to go on different corners of the internet to unearth what they're doing. And the new factory in Phoenix, where is the status of that? Well, I previously had to go on the Instagram of the construction company who's working on it to find out what's going on. And I said this to him, and there was actually a picture in their presentation of the factory in Phoenix, and the current status of the build. And again, who knows whether there was any direct link, but it made me think, I wonder if they put that there because of what I was saying to him about how the investors feel about transparency. So I honestly think that they couldn't have been more receptive, and they were quite low ego about the whole thing. It's easy when someone criticizes you to say, get lost, you don't know what you're talking about. But they were quite mature and humble about the whole thing. And when it comes to the earnings call, as you say, I don't think we could have asked for much more, really. I mean, they made some really difficult decisions about laying off some of their team. About 20% of their team they've laid off to save cost and to focus their operations on the space flights, or getting Delta really is what they're focusing on, getting Delta into commercial service. And, there was this kind of quite important headline that they slightly buried in page, whatever it was, 10 and 17, whatever, in the deck, which was basically that they're going to pause flights. They're going to pause commercial flights from mid-24 next year until mid-26 when Delta comes online. And that's actually quite big news that they kind of underplayed. Space company who's successfully doing monthly flights are going to pause for 2 years. And when I first saw that, which was actually before they sort of got to it, because I quickly scrolled ahead on the slides when I was looking at the deck, I was like, oh my God, they're pausing flights for 2 years. This is a nightmare. And then I realized after another minute's thought that it's actually really smart, because if you think about it, the monthly space flights that they're doing with Unity right now, which is ultimately their prototype vehicle, they present quite a lot of risk to the company, right? Because if something goes wrong, if there's a crash, God forbid, if there's a flight that goes off course, that exposes all of us to quite a lot of risk each time. And there's no real upside, right? Like the revenue is virtually nothing compared to the expenses. And the share price has not been showing any positive response to the monthly flights. So you've got this kind of quite out of line risk and cost benefit analysis, right? Like the cost is actually potentially quite big because they have to focus their team on operations and they have to expose us all to a bit of risk. But then the benefit's not really there because the revenue's small and the share price doesn't really go up when you do the flights. So it's actually pretty smart of them to say, let's focus our team on getting Delta tested and into commercial service. And let's forget the kind of monthly proof of concept flights. You don't need to do those. So I really get it. And I'm not scared by the 2-year pause.
No, because that has been one of the questions I have had people send in to me, and say, hey, I'm really worried because now we're going to go even lower. We're going to go under $1 because everyone's going to sell. And there is always that element of a business that has to wait a period of time before it's going to be profitable. Why have your money in a stock which is just going to go potentially sideways for a while? But then that's what a real investor does. It's looking for the bottom of the market. It's quite happy to hold their money in that, because when it starts, once we get news about the flights and who's flying and what's going on and how much money we're going to make, people are going to be piling in very, very quickly. In minutes, when the stock's down at 180 as it is today, 181, we can be at $4, $5, $10 in minutes, and then you're chasing the stock. And as a retail investor, as you don't want to be doing that. That's what real investors do, right? But I'm glad that you feel like that, because I feel that way as well. I felt it's the right thing to do. What we've been doing up to this point is building out the technology, proving the concept. It works. The tickets have all sold. Everybody wants to fly on it. Everyone was worried that who's going to pay, $400,000 plus for a ticket. Well, there are plenty of people who will. And I have said, and I've declared to my audience that I want to fly with them. I can't afford it right now, but I am working to get a flight, and I'm going to do that one day. And I think they're doing the right thing. I thought the way they presented their earnings, because I followed every single earning since the beginning, I followed it religiously, was the best by a long way. I really felt the presentation was good. Up to now, it's looked really kind of amateurish, and and they're like Virgin. I don't know if you ever watched Virgin Orbit, but theirs was like out of a back shed garage, and it was like, this looks rubbish. You know, you want to look like NASA and SpaceX. You want to look cool and exciting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would anyone believe that you know what you're doing? And Virgin Galactic have been a bit not great when it comes to marketing and selling the idea. But that last earnings, and I cover every earnings, you know, literally one every day nearly. That was one of the best earnings. The way they presented it, the information was open. And you're right when you talk about, you know, you have to go to Instagram and Reddit. You shouldn't have to do that. And that's one of the reasons, and I just refer back to this, why we have partnered with this technology here. I'm just showing on the screen, Andy, my alpha spread again, because all in one place, you've got the profitability score, the you know, the solvency scores, what Wall Street targets are, the latest news, how it compares to the competition, ownership. We can see if someone in the company has sold their shares, how many shares they've sold, all in one place. My reviews appear at the bottom, you know, all the intrinsic values, which tells you all about it. That's why we've done this. This sort of software hasn't really existed concisely like this has until now. You know, everyone has to go look a bit over at MarketWatch, look, go on Instagram, go on Reddit, go on YouTube, grab bits of information. And as investors, we don't always get great information from the company. But as I've said to my viewers, their job isn't to constantly talk to us. Their job is to build the business, make the bloody thing work, and then we'll all get rich by just staying in the stock. But of course, we do want that information. So I'm glad you pointed that out. But it's hard work, and it sometimes finding information on Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, it is, and I laid it on pretty thick when I met them, because I think you're right. Their job is to execute and deliver on the various things they promise they will do. But yeah, I think when you're a publicly listed company, you have another job, which is to make sure that the share price is looked after, and make sure that positive information, if there is any, is being circulated out into the wider market and investors. Yeah. And Virgin Galactic, I think, we're really under delivering in that area. You know, as I said, we had to really dig pretty deep around dark corners of the internet for updates on what they're doing. And sometimes, you know, you've got to sit on flight radar. I know guys in the some of the Facebook groups or meta groups who are, you know, Virgin Galactic investors. They have alerts on flight radar, so they can see when Eve is flying, and they can see when they're doing testing. You know, why don't Virgin Galactic just tell us this stuff? You know, we're actively testing this week, we're doing this. Like, great. No downside really. But anyway, it sounds like they really listened. They're being responsive, and I'm really happy with what came out on the earnings call. It feels, I know the share price hasn't done anything too dramatic. Yes, it went up like 25-30% yesterday, and it seems to be holding more or less today, but it's not really about the daily swing for me. It's about focusing on the strategy for the long term, making sure that you can serve cash, demonstrating to investors that you're not just going to deplete until you've got no cash suddenly. And whoops, what did we do with 1,000 stuff? Like, it seems like they're now in an era of being focused on that Delta kind of guiding star that they have of getting that live. And that's super reassuring as a shareholder. Like, I want to know that they're keeping the most important thing as the most important thing. And I felt like before there was a lot of fluff. And, you know, there was a lot of staff, just like, I don't know, I feel like confidence has been somewhat bolstered by yesterday's call for sure.
I agree. My investors that follow my show feel that way. I feel that way. Of course, you know, we all want to see the share price $4, $5, $10, wherever. But like you say, real investors aren't here for the daily minute-to-minute swings, the ups and the downs of it. And as I was trying to explain, I hope get it across to my viewers this morning, movement in the stock is healthy anyway. We don't want a straight line. We're not trying to do this. Even though I believe a short squeeze will come, it's not there yet. It's a long way to go, but you know, in time, you know, we don't want a straight up stop. We're not trying to do big GameStop, but just a straight up. This is an actual business that, you know, will make money and be profitable. This is not a meme stock or something crazy like that. And we don't want straight line. We want it to, you know, steadily up and down and go on, because as we pop up, and then some trim off, that's an opportunity for somebody else to buy. And of course, they're buying at a higher price. And then it goes up, and then there's a bit of trimming, then it goes up, and they're buying at a higher price. We want people to be buying it at $3, $4, they're less likely to sell it. And we start building a support all the way up. So this is healthy, but it does scare people. And no one could be more scared right now. I mean, even though I believe in it, I'm all in on margin at 8%, So that's how much I believe in this. So it's costing me money to be in this stock right now, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to keep control of that. But it's one for the ride. And Andy, you've had some great information today, and I'm sure everybody will really appreciate it. And I know so many people wanted to thank you for coming on today. I know you've got a rush because you actually, in case people don't know, Andy has his very own, very successful business yourself, don't you? And people actually said, why doesn't Andy buy the company? That was asked by a few people.
It's sadly above my pay grade to buy Virgin Galactic, but I'd love to have some involvement with the company and keep up good comms with them. I think they're a great group of people who are doing something really, really inspiring, right? So like, good, it'd be awesome to keep that line of communication open with them. And I really have respect for the difficult decisions they made coming up to the yesterday's call. Anyone who owns a business almost has let people go from time to time, and it's absolutely horrible. And they had to do that with 20% of their staff so that they could focus their operation properly. And respect to them for doing that. It's a tough call, and respect to them for having the bravery as well to tell the world we're a spaceflight company that's not going to do space flights for 2 years. In a funny way, I really respect it. I think it takes backbone to stand up in front of the world and say we're actually going to go seemingly backwards for 2 years whilst we focus. I think good for them.
What did you feel about when they said dilution's pretty much off the table? They're not going to go to us, the shareholder.
I wouldn't say that was my exact interpretation of it. I would say that they flagged that markets are a little bit unpredictable and access to capital is not really what it was. So I think that what I heard them say, and I could well be wrong, but what I heard them say is that they are configuring their operations to have enough cash to get to profitability and to get to Delta coming online. But I suspect that if markets recover and if the share price goes up to $5+, I suspect they will exercise their rights to go to market and raise some more money. I would be almost certain of it, to be honest. I don't think in my opinion, I don't think it's off the table that they'll raise money. I think they were just giving us confidence that if stuff with the share price and the macroeconomic environment stays quite negative, that they are good and they can batten down the hatches.
Yeah, that was the sentiment I got. It's off the table for now, but the share price would really have to rise so it wouldn't impact the shareholder. That's the sentiment I got. Yes, they're going to they would dilute if we got to, I think, 5 or 6 and bring it back down to 4. Well, if you bought it at 150, like I did, then you don't mind. You're still way up on it anyway. But I think what they were trying to say was we don't have to do that now. We can get to profitability with what we've got by saving the money, which we are now, and being more lean with it.
Yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about the company, as you know. I'm very passionate about it. I want them to succeed. So I feel a bit guilty saying this, but my back of the fag packet maths does not have them reaching profitability. So I'm not sure quite how they got there. And it felt like a pretty bold claim to say that they were going to get to cash flow positivity with what they currently have, for various boring reasons. But good for them. Fingers crossed I'm wrong and they're right. But I have a circa $750 million to $1 billion hole in the calculation that gets them to break even. So I'm not entirely sure why their accounting is so different to what seems quite obvious, but fingers crossed I've got it wrong, and fingers crossed they'll get there.
Well, I'm not too far off from you from those calculations because I've done the same sort of calculation. However, the retail investor, when we get knowing how the markets work, knowing what my audience say to me, knowing all the reactions I get under comments, I get thousands of comments a day across my social media, and I read it all and I reply to all of it personally, is that people can't buy SpaceX, not a retail investor in the normal way. You can't buy Blue Origin. And when we get, this is just how it works, but rightly or wrongly, when we get the celebrities flying like Taylor Swift, we know that's rumored to be she's got a ticket and she's in that $1 million seat at the front and she's looking out the window, and wouldn't it be great if they could put a camera on the outside looking in and you can get a sort of a wave into space picture or whatever it might be.
They should get her doing the first ever in space concert. She should do a gig.
No. Don't put that out there in the universe. That's my job. I'm doing that my song. Okay. Anybody out there in space? I've written the song. Taylor Swift ain't coming along, stealing my song and doing that. No. That's my chance, right? So anyway, as we talk, the share price is going up a little bit. We're 183 now. I'm just watching it. But no, once that happens, rightly or wrongly, and this is why I'm working so passionately and hard to get the word out using, everything I can. And it's working. We're getting more and more views every day. We're getting more people talking about Virgin Galactic every day. It's working. I'm playing my part. I'm here committed to it. I still want to be a marketing manager. I've offered it to them. I'd love you to employ me. I would save you millions of dollars in marketing wages, and I could reach more people. So give me the job. Seriously, I'd like to do it. But once we get those people to fly, those celebrities. So when we see all those, new investors start to buy into the stock, which I think they're going to, because I think interest rates have peaked. I think the Fed will hold another couple of, reports on the FOMC report. And then we'll start in the spring and the summer, see the rates come down. And of course, Virgin Galactic have looked at the rates where they are today. When they start coming down, that's going to help dramatically for Virgin Galactic. The bull market will start again. People will start buying. And what they're going to buy? A space company. And Taylor Swift and Elon Musk and all these great things that will promote it. And what we're trying to do here, I think the stock will rally. It will go up $6, $7, $8 to $10. They will do some dilution to take us back a bit, but we'll still be up. And I think we'll be good then to hold forever. And I've said I'm going to hold all the way through to $100, not because it's worth it, because it can trade there, because the way people will trade it and get excited about it.
Yeah, that's an exciting outlook, and I see it as really, really simple. To be honest, it's a complicated business, but I see it in simple terms, which is that if we get to 2026 and Delta comes online and there are no crashes between now and then and no fatalities for the company, and Delta starts flying with a reliable cadence and the unit economics are at the time then what they claim they're going to be now, I think we're in for a really exciting ride with the stock price. And if the company, there's another path as well. If the company gets either bought by a large aerospace company, or if they take a big investment from some Middle Eastern fund that wants a spaceport, I also think the share price could have a really exciting ride. Those are the two kind of outcomes where I think we are in for, a fairly kind of, 1 in a million kind of trajectory for the stock versus other stocks out there. But there are some existential risks, right? There's a cash flow risk, and there's also the obvious risk with any space travel company, which is that they could have, sadly, they run the risk of having some sort of malfunction or crash or whatever. And if that happens, we're all in big trouble, as well as the people flying. But let's see what happens. I feel positive. I feel extremely enthusiastic and buoyed by yesterday's investor call, earnings call. So, let's see where it takes us. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to hold for the foreseeable and see what they can get done in the next couple of years.
Andy, I know you've got to go. Just wait in the green room for me. I'm going to end the video off just so I can just close out the video. Again, Andy, thank you for everything you've done. I know a lot of my viewers want to thank you. They've all got excited. They've made money and they're happy. And thank you for everything you've done. Just wait there and I'll come right back to you. So there we go. Andy Shovel, everybody. And absolutely wonderful to have Andy on the show today. Please do click subscribe to this video and share it around by tapping the like button. If you'd like to get hold of the software, just one of the softwares that I use, of course, I told you about it, Alpha Spread. I do the reviews for them alongside CNBC, Jim Cramer and others. You can get all that information that Andy so desires, that everybody wants, all in one place, right down here. And what you do is if you go click above my head, I'll give you the link, and in the description you can get my referral and set up a free plan. Okay, set up a free plan. However, if you're one of my members, you'll get a 10% discount, which essentially will give you my membership membership for completely for free. So why not go and check it out? There we go. We can just see Andy there with his beautiful, is that a cat, a giant cat there on the bottom of the screen? Absolutely fantastic. Look at the size of that cat. Oh my gosh, more like a lion. Anyway, wonderful stuff. As always, check out all my links above my head, and I'll put other information. The earnings call will be over here, and information that you might need on Virgin Galactic. Please go and check out my Alpha Spread link and go and click on my reviews, because we want them to rank on Google. So when Taylor Swift does fly, we're already number one, and space Virgin Galactic is trending all over Google. As always, till next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Go space.